Привет! Это подкаст Don't Speak. С вами Вэл. И это необычный выпуск. Во-первых, Андрея Гуляева у меня для вас сегодня нет, потому что он покоряет горы. И пока это происходит, я записала необычный выпуск. Дело в том, что скоро, 4 июля, в США наступит День независимости, Independence Day. И я подумала, кого, как не человека, который прожил там 11 лет, лучше расспросить об этом дне и обо всех связанных с этим традициями. Да, сегодня в студии будет гостья, замечательная гостья Мария. Она 11 лет прожила в США, в Чикаго, и у нас получился очень необычный разговор. Во-первых, чтобы уж этот выпуск был необычным до конца, все сказанное здесь сказано по-английски. Да, это English only. Многие из вас просили, чтобы это произошло, и вот это случилось. В этом выпуске вы узнаете о том, как поехать в США, не зная английского, вернее, зная его на уровне London is the capital of Great Britain, и выжить, и что для этого нужно сделать, какую роль просмотр Диснея играет во всем этом процессе, и что такое bean, то есть Боб, и что за страны the L, о котором говорят жители Чикаго, и что обязательно нужно попробовать там. И да, в этом выпуске очень много еды, поэтому слушайте сытыми. И напоследок, не расстраивайтесь, если вдруг вы поняли не все. Приходите к нам на бесплатный марафон для начала, и там вы узнаете, что можно сделать, чтобы, наконец, выучить английский и понять этот подкаст и все то, что вам нравится. Приятного вам прослушивания. Hey, welcome. I have Maria here with me. Hi, Maria.
Hi there.
So, I wanted to talk to you about your experience in the US since you live there. And let's start this first part. Let's talk about the US in general. So you lived in Chicago, right?
Well, pretty much in Chicago, but I spent like about 2 years in Detroit.
Detroit, my God.
Yeah.
I only remember it from the movies, like, some kind of dilapidated place. The economy is just down. Was it really that way?
Exactly. Exactly like as you've seen in movies. So,
right.
Much.
And the last time I saw you mentioned that you hate New York.
It just didn't click, like when you go to the city and just like, yeah, that's, I feel it. Like,
okay.
No.
Which is surprising because a lot of the people who learn English, they dream to go either to New York because it's in a lot of movies again, the culture brings it to you, or they want to go to London. So can you compare a bit Chicago versus New York? Why one is better than the other one?
Well, I guess for me, it's still Chicago is better. So as I said, it just didn't click to me, the New York. So I actually gave it 3 times, 3 chances. So over a Christmas time, a summertime, and the fall, my favorite season. So I've tried it. So, but no, first of all, it's very crowded. Streets are very narrow, very small. It's stinking so bad. So the underground, the subway, this is, I think, the worst I've ever seen so far. It's a complete mess. Tons of yellow cabs and taxis and lots of tourists and it just, it's very, very busy.
Right. And even the Central Park didn't steal your heart?
Just a little bit. And there is the museum from the movie, and you remember the dinosaurs, a huge, so it's not that big. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, you look a lot smaller than you do actually in the movies. So it just didn't surprise me at all. So the Central Park was probably the most pleasant place in New York.
Got it.
So
okay.
I've been to the part where all of the Russians leaves the Brighton Beach.
Oh, that one. How was the atmosphere?
Odessa.
Oh,
It's so funny. That's just like,
okay.
yeah.
All right. And if not New York, if not Chicago, where else can you go? Like your personal top of awesome places in the States.
Okay, so I would actually say Washington, D.C. So it's a capital, right? So it doesn't belong to any state. So it's a District of Columbia. So it's just a city. It sometimes reminds me of St. Petersburg. So it's actually very beautiful, but it's very quiet with the nice streets, with like a very nice like a subway and everything. So very interesting neighborhood. So, and probably the other, I would say Boston, because I love London. And it just like reminds me a lot of, spots. I'm like having like a deja vu that I'm like, oh, okay, that does look like London sometimes. So,
Cool.
yeah.
All right. And anything from the West Coast?
Personally, I've traveled south and all of the east part of United States.
How far south?
New Orleans,
Ooh.
Texas. So it's weird. I mean, I like probably Austin over Houston. And there's like a San Antonio that's like a small city. It's really nice to be there, but it's just as a tourist. Because when you're going like outside of the downtown part, it's bad. It's really bad.
Just
So,
roads and there's nothing to do.
there-
Yeah, totally agree.
Like nothing.
Right. And you mentioned quite a bunch of places. So New Orleans, if you take it, Boston, Chicago, all of them have different accents. Since our podcast is also about learning English. So can you comment on that? Did you hear the difference? And what kind of group of people was harder to understand?
Totally. Actually, it is very easy to say like, oh, you're from South, because, people from Georgia, you won't even probably understand what they would say. They usually chew on words, like they have something in their mouth. It's like very hard to understand. So Atlanta and everything, you're going to be like, excuse me, wait, what?
When you get in the elevator and you do something to the button to take you where you need to go,
Yes.
what do you do to that button?
I push the button.
You push the button.
What do
do
we
you
press the button?
I mash it.
Oh, you mash it.
Yeah. Could you mash 17
Oh,
for me? And that's how you
mash.
say it.
Okay. And there's people from Texas. Very funny. I used to translate one dude. So there was like a lecture for 40 minutes and he would be so freaking slow, and it was going to be like, hey folks, how are ya? And I'm like, Dean, you can't do this, like there's two of us, like I have to translate. I'm like, chop, come on, like faster. Because so it's very
he would
funny.
be like, y'all, hey, y'all.
Yeah.
What was the lecture on though?
I don't quite remember because I was so like freaked out and nervous, not because like I didn't know how to translate, but because I was like so impatient, like cannot keep up with like, he was a slow poke. I'm like, dude.
All right.
So-
That's actually funny because on my way here, I was listening to some podcasts on the biological differences like between men and women and how it affects our mating strategies and so on and so forth. Anyway, it's not the point. The guy, the lecturer was a psychology professor from Texas, and could also hear it like in his vowels, the way he spoke. It was a bit of a nasal voice,
Right.
that a lot of Texan men got.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. How about New Orleans? They have really nice way of talking. Like you could go to a restaurant or a cafe and a lady would call you honey or darling, this sort of informal way.
I think for me, I was raised right here on the bayou. I lived here my whole life, and it's the way everybody around here talks.
Nobody around here thinks they got an accent.
That's actually, like all of the southern states, they do that. So in New Orleans itself, it's a very, I don't know, it's quite a strange place to me, so I was hoping to see one thing and I just didn't see it. So it just like was such a weird place to visit. I wouldn't go there again. So one time was enough. But yeah, they usually like very, again, at the restaurant, they would say, they would going to be like too personal, and you're going to be like, okay. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. They make you feel uncomfortable. So, and again, there is too many Black people, again, so they have their own accent. And so one of the examples all the time, because I had like friends, they would say, instead of the ask, they would say X. And I'm like, why are you saying that? You saying X. He was like, no, I'm saying ask. It was like, exactly, you have to say ask. He was like, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, no. So they don't hear it. And there's tons of that kind of words they usually like messing up. They don't even like know it. So it's just weird. And sometimes it's very hard to understand. You're going to be like, wait, what? So, yeah, I do have a little bit of problem of understanding like a black people.
Yeah. Plus, it's very, very interesting when you bring it up and they do not even hear it. Mm-mm. Usually, when you grow up among speakers of the same accent, yeah, you really don't hear it, and you don't hear that you have it unless somebody tells you that, right. And you have to work on that. There is a channel on YouTube that I enjoy. It's called something Southern. Anyway, they make fun of Southern accent and they make little skits. Based on that, and there's one video that I adore about ma'am. In the South, if you go there, they would call you ma'am, and people who are not from the South think about it as as referring to an older person, and right. you don't want to be called ma'am. Right. I'm not that old. Stop it. Okay, and we're recording this podcast. And pretty soon there's going to be the Independence Day in the US. Right. So I guess you had a chance to celebrate it multiple times.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? Is it a big deal?
It is a big deal, but it's not as a big deal like in terms of the parade. Like we used to, the Russian people, used to the parade. It's an honor to be there. So it's two totally different things. The parade, it's for them. Every single, like a small town, they usually have their own parade. So it means all of the business who's in, like if they got the business in this like town or at least like a close towns around, so they can like set something up and just marching through the city and just giving away candies and everything. So that's the parade. So nothing with the military stuff or anything like that. Nope, just businesses and just marching and then usually people go there, just watch it. I have no idea why, but they do. And after that, obviously, they go to beaches and doing barbecues and everything. And there is a fireworks, after all, a very long ones. I had once I sat through 45 minutes and I'm like, oh, wow. I'm so freaking tired. I'm like, and it's not like even that beautiful, like when we have a fireworks here in Russia, even like in small towns, that's a big deal. It's actually quite a show. There it's just like bam, bam, and it's just like nothing special.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it has to do with the fact that it's illegal, I heard. And they just try to keep it down low key,
not everywhere. No. So I mean, they don't allow to sell it like in downtown area, but outside, yeah. So, but I mean, that's interesting. They just do it like very like low key. Just they're good. They're just like eating, drinking. That's enough. Fireworks, we're good.
Oh, did you set any fireworks yourself?
Nope. No.
Well, how come?
I don't know. Not at least on the Independence Day. We've tried to do it the New Year's Eve. So, but someone called the cops on us. So.
That's how it happens.
Yeah,
we're in trouble.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think they gave us some tickets we had to pay, but yeah.
Oh my, that's a story. You got independent after all. That's good. So as far as I know, when you went to the States, you didn't really speak English, did you?
Not at all. So I probably had, the school thing. London is the capital of Great Britain. Yes, no, house, food. That's about it.
Okay, so I really want to talk about the way you've gone through from this point A to the point B where you are right now. Tell me about 3 best things that you did to learn English. So what were you doing? What kind of advice can you give to our listeners?
Okay. The first thing, I actually just been thrown into the whole system of the United States, and that's it, because I was living with a family, so the American family, who had kids, so I just didn't have a choice. I had to communicate, and especially with the kids, and they had to communicate to me. So that was the best thing that you actually can do to learn it. Just start speaking, try to think some other words. Do not try to pull exact words from your mind. So you can substitute with something else to explain it. The second thing, I had a big TV in my room. So I was watching Disney Channel and other channels just all around. So sometimes what I would do, I would put a movie, watch it one time. I wouldn't get a thing. So I'm but no idea what's going on. No idea. So I would watch it the second time. So I my brain would pull up some words. So I was actually getting something out of it. So probably watching third and fourth time for me was just pretty much understanding the whole thing. So I guess this is how the brain works. So, you just connecting words to actions. So, and it just and especially when you hear it, so the accent just sticks and, to you.
Did you pick Disney because you like cartoons or because you assumed that it's going to be an easier content to process?
Obviously I love cartoons. So, but yeah, they had on this Disney show, they had a teenager, stuff, a very stupid stuff. I'm watching it, what I'm doing, but I'm watching it, like a Hannah Montana and so on, whatever show was on. And obviously, since I was raising twin boys who was 2 years old, and cartoons all day long, every single day, over and over.
Well, I would say if you do have a choice, better avoid it, because whenever you watch something that is genuinely of interest to you, that is way, way better. Not just some, random stuff. Actually, cartoons are not that easy. If you listen to it, they do voices, and sometimes it's impossible to understand what they're talking about in a voice like that. Right. So that's why, you're a hero for choosing this path. Okay, so you mentioned 2 things: communicating with your family, watching stuff on TV, so creating this sort of a wall of a sound. And what's the third one?
Third one, so I actually started to go to school for ESL classes. And obviously, I didn't have a Russian teacher. So, and around me was people from Poland, Mexicans, whatever, from all over the world, Chinese and so, and obviously we had only one teacher who taught us in English. So, and you wouldn't be how it's gonna be. But again, your brain actually works a lot faster than you can think. So whatever, the teacher would say something, my name is something, right? And he's gonna be putting this on the chalkboard, so you can see it. And like without knowing how to translate some words, your brain is like, okay, that means this and means that. And you're going to be, oh, okay. So, and it just that fast.
Cool.
And yeah.
Basically, this is how we try to do it here in Don't
Right.
Speak. We try to avoid using Russian precisely for this reason, to create this, environment where your brain has no choice
Exactly.
but to follow along. And as we can see from your example, it
Yeah.
really works. Although it might be stressful. And so speaking of stress and difficulties, what kind of stuff did you face in that respect?
For me, like understanding like Americans was the easiest way, but since it's such a United States, it's a like different cultures, like multicultural thing. So it's very hard to understand other people from other countries. It's impossible. And since I've worked there for 6 years in the medical field, so lots of Indian people, and other accents, and like Chinese people. And again, so that's probably the hardest part for me, was just trying to connect, with English with other people. So the second thing probably was a grammar, because I never knew it. Like nobody taught me, especially in school. They didn't care about grammar, so because they probably didn't know it either. So the teacher's like, okay, you can just learn that thing and just like tell me, get your a grade, and you're gonna be good to go.
Okay.
So
All right. We're going to cover the education, I guess, in the third block, because it's very interesting. And for now, can you share 3 to 5 useful phrases that you picked up? So most of your time is spent in Chicago. So let's concentrate on those phrases that one might need when going to Chicago.
Okay, so Chicago, it's quite a big city. So with lots of traffic, jams on the road, traffic mostly. So you're going to spend a lot of time driving, pretty much stuck somewhere. So the first thing you probably need to know, and especially if you need to call or text someone, just like, I'm running late. I'm sorry, but I'm running late. So because it's pretty much impossible to get on time.
Yeah, that's a great point to make, because usually people say I'm late. That's what students usually learn, but running late is somewhat different. It sounds very natural. Okay.
It's anything because, like at least the first word is running. So it means action. You're doing something.
You're making effort. Right?
Yeah. So you're doing everything just together. But like, I'm sorry, but I'm running late. So I was like, okay. So
phrase number 2.
I would actually, if you need to get around the town, I know like in different countries, they would call it underground, subway,
Metro.
Metro, yeah. So,
or even the tube, as they say in London, I think.
They do. Not for every single thing, but yeah. Actually, yes. So they do say the tube. In Chicago, there is nothing underground. So I have no idea why they call it this, but they call it the L. So if you need to go to the subway, that's the L trains. They do have other trains like Metra and buses and everything.
Which is basically like an electric train, you told me.
Right. Just, to get like in between like towns. So, but within like a city of Chicago, so it's L.
Is it an official name or is just
Nope.
the way you... Okay, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be saying something like, okay, I need to get a ticket for the L.
Yeah, you can say that. So I was like, where's the L? So, and they would know, because if you're gonna ask them actually about the subway, they're gonna like cringe for a second, just like, what? Subway, and they're just like, oh, you mean the L? So yeah, because I've done it. It happened like quite a few times, when I like was trying to get to the train. I'm like trying to explain what I need, and there was like L. I'm like, what the heck? What is the L? I was like, the train, like that's cool. Like L, like why L? So like no one could explain that, but they call it.
All right.
So
you just have to deal with that.
right. Again, if you go to Paris, there's Eiffel Tower. So in Chicago, they've got the Great Lake, which is a Michigan lake. So they still call it the lake. So they usually don't give it a name. So they don't say, oh, I'm going to go, to the Michigan lake. So they would call it the lake.
Which is a pretty cool explanation of the articles, because if you talk about this definite article, which is a pain in the ass for a lot of people, in this case, it's like the best way to explain it. The lake, there is no other lakes, and this is a specific lake, and this is the lake we all know that we're talking about it. So the only way to use the article is the. Okay, all right.
And there is another thing which all residents of Chicago call it the bean. So actually the official name is a cloud gate. That's a thing that covered like a mirror, something like with a reflection. You probably saw it on like lots of pictures and everything. So, but still it does look like a bean. So they still call it a bean. So I was like, oh, I need to see the Chicago bean. And it's like a cloud gate. No, the bean. So they have no idea, what is the cloud gate or something. So that's probably, and if you're gonna visit Chicago, you need to try the deep dish pizza.
Oh, what's so special about it?
It's like a pie, so it's very tall. There's tons of cheese, like way too much cheese that you actually need it. So but it's really good. So I'm not such a big fan of pizzas altogether, but the deep dish thing, that's the thing that you need to try to get there.
All right. Cool. Let's talk about the education in the States, because the system might be different. What kind of experience did you have there with the whole thing?
Okay. I can be honest, right?
Absolutely.
So because I went to school, so the school thing was quite interesting, so the college system, I like it. So because, it doesn't really matter like how old you are. You can go to college and you're going to be in the same room. So you're going to be 18. You're going to be in the same room with a 70 years old grandpa or something. So it doesn't really matter. So this part I like. But since I do have 2 kids and I have a son who actually went to 2 years of preschool, 1 year of kindergarten, and actually started the 1st grade.
So is there any difference between preschool and kindergarten, or is it just in the difference in terminology in this case?
I have no idea why. I was like, I think the logical thing would be put the kindergarten first and then the preschool, but somehow it's opposite. So preschool is basically, it's not required. Some states actually require for your child to go. Kids are getting into the system at 3 years old. So it's about like 3 hours a day. It's good for them, I guess. So they're trying to be with other kids. They show like a circle time and just games, snacks, and out, sometimes outside. But it's a pain in the ass because you have to drive your child to drop it off and then, wait somewhere and then just, come back for your child, staying in line in your car to get your child. And, it's just...
I guess all the commuting takes just as much time as their being there.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but sometimes at least I was like, oh God, I can run to the store at least, to get some food. So kindergarten, that was a stress for me for sure, because it does require, most states, they are required, it's required for your child to go there. So they're 5.
What if your children don't go there?
Homeschooling. So you have to do the homeschool.
And someone comes over and checks on you?
Oh yeah, oh definitely, yeah. So I wouldn't even say that the homeschooling is easier part or cheaper. It's not, because you have to pick like a specific like curriculum that you're gonna go with. There is a tests every single like week that you have to like submit to the teachers that assigned to you. So and stuff like that. So no, it's not easy. And obviously you have to, trying to teach your child something.
I have to be really invested.
Yeah.
Way more than with a school.
Yeah.
Okay. And so generally, what are the pros and cons of the American system in contrast with the Russian one? If you know anything about the Russian one.
Yeah, well, I went to school here. But probably the stressful part for me was letting your 5 years old go on the bus with unknown people for 8 hours straight at 5 years old. So the first day for me, I was like running around like crazy because that was a stress. You don't know what's going on with your child. The second thing, obviously, it's very poor educational system. So still, it's just colors and stuff like that. And I don't know. They have like probably more games stuff and like circle times and songs and, something like that.
Basically, it's all about socializing, I guess.
Yeah. So bad food. Like very bad food.
Oh, we're gonna get into that in our next blog. I have some questions about that.
But in schools, it's bad. So I had to pack like lunch for my son because I didn't want him to eat that stuff.
I have to agree here. I also used to go to school in the US. It was a high school, so we would go to the cafeteria during the break, and we would get a tray with some kind of a mashed potatoes things and the beans, and it would be pretty bland and tasteless, and there would be always a dessert, some kind of a cake which is just drowning in syrup, and some kind of a Coke. By the way, I guess in Chicago they would say pop, but in Texas they would say Coke, which has nothing to do with the cocaine, in case some kind of FBI is listening. But yeah, I wouldn't be of a very high opinion of the school food. So good job on packing lunch for your son. Where would you go shopping?
Actually, at least not Walmart. I hate that store. I mean, that's the good thing. You actually can go buy everything. So paint for your house and grab a milk on the way back, to the cashier. But still, the food is bad there. There is some like local stores with a good food. Usually it's some Mexican stores. They have lots of good fruits and vegetables. So good selection. And because when they open those kind of stores, they have a good like selections of European food as well. So you can get a kefir, they call it kefir, so they do have it. And tvorog, they call it cottage cheese, but it's not a cottage cheese. It actually does taste like tvorog, like a Russian thing.
Right.
So
okay, we're inevitably getting into the topic of food, so let's get to our block number 4. Okay, food. Let's talk food for sure. You mentioned cottage cheese, and in Russia, there's a type of breakfast that has become really popular in the coffee shop. And since you are the owner of one, I can't but ask. Did you try to make them these cottage cheese cakes, which we call sырники, in the US?
I've tried to make it with a cottage cheese. It obviously didn't work.
Did it?
So, but I did find tvorog, so I did make sырники. So,
are you saying the cottage cheese and what you call tvorog, the specific product, are different things?
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
How?
So,
texture?
Cottage cheese, it's something very strange and clumpy and salty, very salty, by the way. So I don't even know what it is. So it's some kind of like, dairy stuff, but I have no idea what it is. So definitely not tvorog. So, but there is a huge company that like actually making kefir and like kind of like Russian yogurts and stuff, and a normal Russian like cottage cheese thing. So, yeah, I was able to make sырники there.
Right. Was there any other sort of food, Russian food that you would miss in the US?
No, because you know what? Well, obviously Chicago is a big city, but pretty much anywhere you go, there's tons of Russian stores, and you won't believe it. The best doktorskaya kolbasa I have ever eaten, that was in Chicago in the United States, because everything is made in New York. So I think there's like 3 companies, or at least 2 main companies, who makes that, the daily stuff like that. So they use all of the good ingredients, and it's so good.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
you had to go to New York to try proper sausage,
Yes.
Okay. Well, we discussed cottage cheese and the fact that the school lunches inevitably suck.
Right.
How about coffee consumption? Is there any difference between Russia and US in this respect?
Yeah, obviously, Starbucks took over the whole United States, and they're fighting with the Dunkin' Donuts. So, but at least, they're drinking coffee too much coffee, like way too much coffee. So, at least 3 to 4 cups, but it's not cups. It's a 20 ounces, cups. I think 20 ounces, like 600 milliliters or something.
Oh,
so
no.
It's over like half of the liter of coffee.
The metric system difference.
I know.
Here we
hate
go.
It.
Did it take a long time to get used to it?
Because I started to drive there, for me, it's actually harder here with kilometers, because I know everything in gallons and miles. So that's
a
gallon. It's almost 4 liters. I think it's a 3.87. So
if you're talking about filling up your tank, your car, you need to do it in gallons.
Yes, and still like here, I'm like walking and trying to guess how much the price of that gas, because I'm like, oh God. So, or I was like, oh, like do you know like how many like your car is actually like eating? I'm like, yes, miles and gallons. I would actually explain to you. I can't. So here to do this, but
cooking instruction is the same. You measure everything in cups and ounces
and spoons.
It's like, give me a whole number, like
exactly.
Yeah, but
well,
it's just a spoon.
Guess what? Since I do have a coffee shop here, and I brought up lots of American recipes. So, and I brought with me cups and spoons and all of that kind of shit, because, and right now our like cooks, that we have 2 cooks, and there's like, Masha, please. I'm like, it's like, okay, 2 tablespoons. You cannot use this tablespoon. You have to use that, like the plastic that I have here. And it's like, can you tell me in grams? I'm like, no idea, dude. So just cups and spoons, because
you have to really keep an eye on them, because they're special. They're more or less standardized, and that's the only way the recipe will come out.
Or
great.
at least like a pound. I have like it's all weird. I'm like Americans. I mean, it's so much easier, especially let's talk weather, right? Like Fahrenheit. Like, come on, Celsius, like 0, it's everything freezing. 100, it's boiling. That's it. It's simple. It's very logical. Like, no, we're gonna use Fahrenheit. So 32. It's like everything is freezing and whatever. I don't even know like when it's boiling points. I'm like, okay, so, and it's so weird. It was very hard for me to.
I remember walking down the main square in our small town in Texas, and I would see something like 100 on the thermometer there, and I'm like, 100, how come? And then I would calculate, and it meant something like 35 degrees or so.
Right.
And that would be always, calculating in my head.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about the dollars and stuff? So in a supermarket, would you have to automatically calculate everything into Russian rubles or not?
I guess at first I did, but right now, even like living here for over a year now, I'm still converting everything to dollars.
You do? So
I
it's vice
do.
versa.
Yeah. So because like I'm trying to get like how much it actually costs, because for me, it's more like convenient in dollars. It's easier for me to understand. So instead of the rubles, I'm like, I have no idea. It's a good price or bad price.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all those cultural and number differences, they do really matter. Okay, so to finish it up, can I ask you to give a sort of advice for our students who might want to travel to the US? What do they need to bear in mind?
Just to travel or to live there? It's the two different things.
Let's start with extended traveling.
Okay, traveling. So you need a driver license. So you need to drive a car. So otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So like flights, they actually using them we use buses here. So like airplanes, it's just like some people getting on and off, and then like they're loading up again and just flying again. So, but still, it takes a lot of time to get to the airport and all of this check stuff. It's a mess. So everyone pretty much drives. They getting a driver license at 16. So you need a driver license, or at least you have to know how to drive.
Okay, all right. So, learn how to drive.
Yeah.
And then learn English on the go, I guess.
Yeah, so the second thing, be very careful and easy with the food. Just try something new, a little bit of like not everything all together. So your body would say thank you for that.
Go easy on ice cream.
Yeah,
that's what they told us on our like orientation before we went there. They would be like, be careful.
Yeah, why ice cream?
Well, because ice cream is available, and we were kids, and kids love ice cream.
Right.
And if you go too hard on it, that would be too much sugar in your system, too much fat, and so they warned us.
Yeah. Don't try American cakes. I hate American cakes. For me, it's sugar mixed with some sugar and sprinkled on top with the sugar.
Yeah, and it goes by the name of a birthday cake. Sometimes, they have something like it's called birthday cake, and it's a generic cake with a lot of cream. But I just look at it and I'm like, that does not.
Yeah, it's not even like what. It's not even cream. I don't even know what it is. So it's pretty much just sugar. So so there's like
sugar.
no cream. There's a couple cakes that are good. Like a carrot cake is okay, I guess. So, but nothing else comes to mind.
All right. So. Yeah. And again, we're at the topic of food. So we're going to end here. Chop, chop, no more. So thanks for coming over. I enjoyed this conversation a lot. And thanks for sharing with our listeners.
Oh, thank you for inviting. It was pleasant to talk to you too.
Yeah. Take care. As
you too.
Такой вот у нас получился разговор. Спасибо, что послушали. Спасибо, что были с нами. Я буду очень благодарна и признательна, если вы напишите в комментариях, как вам. Может быть, вы заметили для себя полезные выражения или что-то непонятно, что-то можно прояснить. Это был, в конце концов, эксперимент, поэтому я буду рада вашей обратной связи. Пишите комментарии, и еще раз напоминаю, если вдруг хочется понимать 100% из этого подкаста и просто улучшить свой английский и говорить на нем так же, как это делает Маша, которая, в общем-то, не носительница языка, выучила его. Но если вы хотите делать это в менее стрессовых условиях, приходите к нам на марафон, ссылочка в описании, и ссылки на другие вещи, которые мы упоминаем в подкасте, мы тоже разместим в описании. Приходите and have a good one. Bye!